Do you know what Sobremesa is? It's a concept I just recently came across, although it's a practice that I had become familiar with in recent years. If you don't know what it is, I'll tell you in just a minute, but first a little background to this. I've been traveling to Mexico for the past 10 years, and during that time, I've learned a lot about Mexico, a lot about Mexicans, and I've learned some things from Mexicans. And one of the things that I've learned is how to slow down and enjoy life. Now, I say I've learned this. There's actually one thing I'm really good at being slow at, and that is learning. So I am slowly learning how to slow down. One of the areas in which I need to slow down, and I'm learning this from Mexicans, is in greetings. Mexican society is very polite. They say good morning, hello, how are you? And a lot of times I've got something on my mind, maybe a question or some business that I need to take care of, and I come in and I just jump right into the business and don't take time for those greetings to say hola or buenos dias or como estás. And I'm getting better at it, where I just won't just blurt out the question I have, but take time to notice the person and acknowledge them by some kind of polite greeting. And then there's this Sobremesa thing. Sobre means above and mesa is table, so it literally means above the table. And it refers to what happens after the meal, after the food has been eaten. The conversation, the interaction, the laughter that takes place between the people who've enjoyed that meal together. In fact, if you're invited in to a Mexican's home and they serve you a meal and you were to get up and to leave too soon, it would be considered rude because it's like you're only there for the salsa. And once you're done with the salsa, you're out of there. Not really interested in interacting with that person. The sobremesa, I understand, is something that originated in Spain, and then it began to spread to other countries, to Italy and to France and most, if not all, Latin American countries. But Mexico's contribution to sobremesa in particular has to do with as I understand it, the length of that time after the meal. It could last 30 minutes, or in some cases, especially on a Sunday when people may have more time, for hours. You know, for years we would come to Mexico and we would go eat somewhere and get good service. The waiter would come out pretty quickly and take our order, and the food would come fairly quickly, and the waiter would be good at coming back in to check on us to make sure we had everything that we needed and that everything was satisfactory. And then toward the end of the meal, and I'm beginning to think about, asking for the check so we can get out of there. It seemed like the waiter suddenly disappeared. And they'd been so attentive to us. But then all of a sudden they're gone. And, the first 2 or 3 times it happened, I didn't think very much about it, but eventually it began to dawn on me, and I can now see this connection to Sobremesa. It was their expectation that we were going to spend time after the meal talking with each other. Again, I have a tendency, maybe the chair's hard and I'm tired of sitting and I'm ready to get out, or something's on the schedule. Or a lot of times it's probably just habit. But I'm not always used to hanging around. So I'm, waving around, trying to get the waiter's attention like I'm directing a 747 on the runway, but they're nowhere to be found. I want to say, la cuenta, por favor, bring me the check, please. But again, it's sometimes hard to find the waiter. So, I am slowing down. I'm learning to be a little more patient and maybe spend that time and enjoy that sobremesa. It's so different from back home. I can remember a time when I was with some people at a fairly well-known restaurant in the States. And we were sitting there after the meal talking about some things, and we're there a pretty good while. And finally, the manager came out and asked us to leave, because back home, they like to turn those tables over as quickly as they can because they make more money and the waiter or the waitress can make more tips. I just can't imagine that ever happening here in Mexico. They just wouldn't do that. Now, maybe if it was midnight and they were closing, they might ask us to go home. But short of that, I just can't see them ever pushing us out. So, Sobremesa. Next time you're having a meal and the meal is over, just think about hanging around a little longer and learning that practice from the Mexicans. Hasta luego.